Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that. I may run it again toward the end of the show because it's a 1 hour show. If I make it 1 hour. Okay, I got a little light blinking over there. I don't know what that means. Because, you know, I bought this new camera. Of course, I ain't read the directions. I'm so ignorant. But, you know, it is what I is. So hopefully you enjoyed Mark Allen and Queen Sister. They're out there trying to get jobs for black men. But I would like to see Ed Gardner and all these old civil rights people. I'm old too, but I'm not as old as some of these civil rights people. I'm 50, some of you folks 75 and 80, okay? And I know they do what they do, and I'm not going to change much either. I get that. We get set and stuck in our ways. I understand that. But for the African American community, we have to concentrate on clean neighborhoods. Those of us live in the hood. And I live in the hood because all I can afford is to live in the hood. I don't make no money. Because, for a lot of different reasons. I didn't want to upgrade my skills. When I was younger, I went to fight the man and bring the system down and all this kind of stuff. And of course, I didn't go to college and upgrade my skills and believe in myself and get a psychiatrist to help me figure out why I self-sabotage and all that kind of good stuff. So here we is. I'm still trying to figure it out. And we will figure it out at some point. But the moral of the story is that we have to, I wish the civil rights leaders and the people my age and those of you a little bit younger, especially in the African American community, we have so many issues. I wrote a book about that. We have so many issues. It's a blog now. Look up Mark Sims, Why African Americans Have So Many Issues. You'll see the blog. And so we have so many issues. And a lot of it just comes down to parenting. Parenting. The problem is with so many out of wedlock births, most African American children will be co-parented. They'll have a single mother and all that kind of yin yang. But most of the moms got to understand your little boys and your little girls need healthy male influences. That's why I'm glad the Black Star Project, for many years, almost 20 years, Black Star Project, Philip Jackson's Black Star Project has been helping people for almost 20 years. Like 18 years, something like that. Steve Harvey has his new TV show based out of Chicago, which is phenomenal. I'm glad he's come back to Chicago to do the show. He could have done a TV show in L.A. and New York, but he chose Chicago, which is phenomenal. Because I know he has a place in Atlanta, and a lot of black folks have moved to Atlanta. I got family in Atlanta. Nothing wrong with Atlanta. Atlanta's great. So I'm glad Steve Harvey brought the TV show here to Atlanta. And I mean to Chicago. Hopefully he does well. I think he still does Shoots the Family Feud down in Georgia. Which is cool. Nothing wrong with that. You know, you can go down to Georgia in 2 hours. You can fly to Atlanta in 2 hours, okay? So that ain't no big thing. If you got a little money, get on the plane. It's no big deal. But Steve Harvey also has, what his foundation has, he's promoting mentoring. Susan Taylor is promoting mentoring, the famous former editor of the Essence magazine. So we know that the nuclear family and the black family, as we know, and forget about it. It's not going to happen. We know most of our children will continue to be born out of wedlock. We get that. So we know we're going to have to, the community has to come together and have healthy male images and female images in the lives of our children. You can't raise these children by itself. The village got to help you a little bit. So I'm so glad so many prominent African Americans understand the need of mentoring, public education, the whole nine. Oh, let me get started on. I'll run my mouth. There you go. I'll run my mouth and talk for a whole hour and forget to read this. Because I really don't work off of notes, and I really should have a bunch of graphics and statistics. I really should do that. But I'm so lazy. If I was more, you know, maybe I should do a little bit more production. But when you don't make, I just do this out of love, but I'm not making money, so, you know, I don't want to put a lot of time into it because I ain't making no money doing that. Got to go to work to make money. And so, I was saying that we had to focus on public education, as well as this mentoring piece. The mentoring piece is phenomenal. You got to get your son a mentor of some sort, okay? If they need a mentor. If they don't need no mentor, fine. If you got great fathers, grandparents, uncles, they're phenomenal, fine. Your son or your daughter don't need a mentor, fine. But if they don't, somebody got to fill that void. And there's help if you ask for it. Public schools. If I have time, I could put up the picture of maybe I can put the picture in front of me or maybe behind me. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. Put up the picture of Karen Lewis, because back a few months ago they had the teacher strike, and so Karen Lewis came out the big winner. Karen Lewis told me to get off her email. I was sitting. I would send anti-union messages to Karen Lewis, and she politely told me, "Don't send me, Mark. Don't send me no more anti-union messages." I'm not so much anti-union. I'm just pro I can say, I don't want to say kids. Pro the students. I'm pro student, not anti-union per se. Pro student. I'm not anti-teacher per se. I'm pro student. And it's about the students. Now, Rahm Emanuel, maybe I put a picture up of Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel came out the big loser, but I told people on WVON radio, I called in on Celine Moore Akil's show, and I said the Rahm Emanuel empire will strike back. Because in Chicago, like many urban, like a lot of urban cities, I don't want to name them all, African Americans are fleeing from these cities. Like, you know, I'm a first generation Chicago. My parents came from someplace else. My mom's from Detroit, my dad's from Arkansas, little town of Arkansas. So I'm born here in Chicago, 1962. So I'm parents from someplace else. But a lot of us moved to cities, and you had like one generation or two generations were living in these northern cities. But a lot of us is moving back to the South, which is fine. We're moving, either the grandparents move, the grandchildren moving to the South because it's warmer in the South, and winters are mild in the South, okay? So nothing wrong with that. I love Chicago, but the winters are very long. I don't mind winter. It's just too damn long. And so I get that. But if you po here in Chicago, you be po in Georgia. Let me just tell you that right now. For most people. Some of y'all may have gotten lucky. And you know the dynamics of how you got lucky. And what you had to do to get lucky. But what I'm saying, though, is that a lot of us left these cities. We're leaving the cities left and right. And so in Chicago, since so many African Americans are fleeing the cities for a lot of different reasons, I don't want to get into it. I'm not a demographer or a social scientist. I do a social media show. I mean, what do you call it? Not social media. Citizens media. Okay, that's what I do. So what happened? People leaving Chicago. Okay, fine. So they're going to close a lot of African American schools. These old buildings, they're going to close a lot of these schools, and going to be a big uproar. Because we're fleeing the city. So remember, you come to Chicago, the Latino community in Chicago, mainly Mexican, is thriving. The Anglos, a lot of old ethnic whites fled Chicago. You have these new ones coming in. In fact, Chicago, downtown Chicago, 2-mile radius of downtown Chicago has grown by 36% in the last years. So as African Americans have fled Chicago, or the old white ethnics that fled Chicago, you have the influx of some, the Latinos are all over Chicago, all over the metro area, but you have an influx of Latinos in the past, 10, 20, 30 years into Chicago. Then you have these younger white professionals go to college and they love Chicago, and they come to Chicago. But the African Americans are sort of fleeing Chicago. Not all of us going to leave, because a lot of us can't leave. We ain't got no money to go nowhere, okay? And sometimes, grandma die and leave you a house in Chicago. Your parents, your grandparents pass on and leave your house in Chicago. That's a gold mine. So if you can't sell it, you might as well go and live in it and deal with the winters here in Chicago. But they're going to close a lot of these public schools because the budget, the teachers got a raise. I ain't getting no raise, but the teacher, let me hate. I ain't getting no raise, but the teacher's getting a raise. I ain't say they don't deserve it, but they getting a raise, and I ain't. But the budget going to go up, and they're going to slash it by, closing a lot of these African American public schools. That's going to be a whole. And I always tell people, hey, I hear these older African Americans getting mad at Rahm Emanuel on WVON radio, right? And I always tell people, Rahm Emanuel won every African American war in the city of Chicago. I tell people he was the best candidate out of all. Whatever you think about Rahm Emanuel, he was the best candidate for mayor out of all the people who run. Now Karen Lewis could run for, maybe she should run for mayor of Chicago. But the bottom line is that the African Americans, we are so dysfunctional, so defunct, so null and void, so, I don't know, disenchanted, disinfected, and dissed, that we don't really have a lot of political power for a lot of different reasons. Well, I can do a whole dissertation on that. So Rahm Emanuel could say, hey, you black folks don't like me. In fact, I won all the black wars, African American wars, last election. And Barack Obama come over here and and promote me when I run again a few years from now. But even if we wanted to run a African American candidate or some other candidate, they like, forget you black folks, because I can form a Latino alliance, an alliance with the whites, Euros, Anglos here in Chicago, and I don't even need to listen to you colored folks. That's Rahm Emanuel. I ain't talking for him. I'm talking scenario. So African Americans don't understand. We got to forget about all of this. You need to focus on our children, the succeeding generations. In the Chicago public schools only graduates, let me say it slow. Only 8% of CPS kids are really ready for college. About 8% actually get 8% actually obtain their college degree in their mid-20s. I got a kid in college. It's tough to keep my son in college. He don't want to go to school. I don't blame him. I should be telling his business, but I didn't want to go to school. My parents didn't make me go to college, so I didn't go to college. I'm not giving my children that choice. You go on or else. If you don't want to go to that school, you're going to that school. You don't want to go to that school, you're going to that college, because college is not the end all be all. Everybody shouldn't go to college, but K through 14 is almost a necessity. Going to get your associate's degree. And I want my children to get a bachelor's degree because I ain't get one. I'm giving them a chance to get one because I say get it done now, because either you don't get it done now, you may have to go in your 30s and 40s and 50s. So you might as well get it done now in your 20s and be done with it. We'll see what happens. You know, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Just give your kids as much support and love as you possibly can, and hopefully they'll make the right decision. But that's what I'm trying to talk about. We need to focus on our children. And the CPS, only 8% get a college degree in the mid-20s. That's about 3% as far as minority graduation rates, college graduation rates, kids coming out of the Chicago public schools who get their college degree, their bachelor's degree, 4-year degree in their mid-20s, only about 3%. Minority, so you break that down to black children, then African American men, that means maybe less than 1% of African American men who attend the Chicago public schools will obtain their 4-year bachelor's degree by their mid-20s. And African Americans supported the teachers, you out of your freaking mind. Teachers not the real problem, it's the system. The system is not geared for the masses to succeed. It's a middle class education model. It's not really modeled or made to really help poor children who have parents who either do not value education or just totally distracted with the travails of life or whatever. Poverty is bad. And what happened, poverty is that when you impoverish, you don't have bougie middle class values, you don't have upper class values. It comes down to values, but a lot of your values are aligned with your income, your education, your intellect. So if you poor and you don't read and you dumb, and I'm not saying that's bad because I don't read as much as I should, your children's going to suffer. But if you're impoverished and you have values, you value education, you're going to try to make sure your son or daughter goes to an excellent preschool, an excellent grammar school, or the best grammar school you possibly can. I didn't put my children in the best school, but in the best school we can possibly get them to for a lot of different reasons, and here we is. And so the point is that you put them in the best preschool you possibly can, the best grammar school, the best high school, and of course they'll probably go to the best college they possibly can. This is not rocket science stuff, but you have to have the value. I'm not the best parent. I could have been better, but I knew the job was dangerous when I took it. I can talk forever. I don't even know how long I've been running my mouth because you can't really see. Okay, I found I was looking at a little screen. So where's the time elapsed on this video? I don't know how much I've been talking because I should time these things out, but I don't. I always tell you I don't time it out. My show is a gumbo. I say that every week. We just do the show and hopefully somebody watches it, somebody likes it. The point is clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, and excellent schools. The African American community is imploding right before our very eyes. We've always had the powers that be, from slavery up until this very day, to divide and conquer the African Americans. The biggest thing in the past 30 years is that since we can move anywhere, and there's no housing restrictions per se, other than how much money you have, we can live anywhere, we can marry anybody, and that's good. But what happens is that some of the better African Americans, if you will, better or more, the African Americans with values or have more education, more intellect, more money, they move away. And that leaves those of us in the hood in the lurch. I've been saying the same thing for years. Why should I change my message? It's not going to change. I may come up with a couple of new things every day. I mean, a few little items here and there, but the basic message doesn't change. And why should it? Clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods with excellent schools. So the goal is, how do we get, I know it takes a Salim more kill. I should take a break. I need to drink some water. Let me take a break. And let me show you some commercials or something, then I'll come back.